How do you like the studio in there, Kelly? Did you feel at home? Did you
Yes,
feel like,
it's like I was meant to be there.
Got it. You just felt it.
Did he?
Yeah.
I need the contract. I'm a little old now. They're like, ma'am, go start a family. Please, we're begging.
I don't think you want to sign with Diddy anyway. You don't have a good history.
Well,
But maybe you can use this career to get to that career.
No, sir, because I will be 45 by that time.
And so Change was like 30 when he finished.
Okay, well.
Just saying.
I'm right around the corner.
Oh, right here? Okay. All right, Kelly, are you focused? I know, you were fantasizing about, your Miss Career and all that with the girl group. And missed. Yeah, career. It doesn't have to be missed, though. I'm telling you, people start late sometimes. Jay-Z didn't put out his first album till he's 26. Ava DuVernay didn't put out her first movie till 30-something.
I'm already past.
Okay, but you're not 30 yet.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm a blink and I'm a be there. I need the...
You never know.
Diddy, if you're listening, sign me.
You don't want to be signed by Diddy.
I just know that he brought...
Have you heard the horror stories?
He made Dream.
And how long did they stay out? Exactly. Okay, welcome to episode 49 of the All That Podcast. Today is just me and Kelly, or Kelly and me. I mean, use proper English. It's just us today, no guest. And this episode will be full of hot topics that we picked to talk about today. And every week, it's a lot going on. Every week. So one of the things that happened this week, I'm not sure the exact day, but I do remember, which is crazy because I had been watching Dave Chappelle stand-ups randomly. Just because I think Dave Chappelle is the most brilliant person on earth. I really believe that because he's so smart and then he ties it in with comedy. So I think he's brilliant. I might be, engaging in hyperbole here, but he, to me, is the most brilliant person on earth. So I have been watching him, listening to his old stand-ups. I get on Twitter and I see Dave Chappelle just dropped a surprise special on YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, let me go check this out. Now, when I saw it, I was thinking that it was going to be, I knew he would be speaking about things that were going on just from the title. And the title is 846, which is the amount of time that the cop had his knee on George Floyd's neck. So I knew that it would have to do with that. I just thought he would tie it in like he does everything else and make it really funny. But when you watch it, and even at one point in the stand-up, he was like, this is not funny at all. So it was more like a sermon, kind of. When did you watch it, or when did you see it?
I watched it this weekend, and I kind of was under the same impression.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I mean, I love Dave Chappelle as well. When he was talking about, I'm going to get to this portion later on, and then he's like, actually, we're just going to talk about it now. You can tell it was kind of out of like his zone to not joke, because at one point he laughs, like you mentioned, and then you can tell he's like, this isn't something to laugh about. But it really was. I was kind of waiting for the jokes to come, and it really, I mean, it brought up a lot of things that I hadn't known about, kind of like the police officer and everything. But yeah.
And the police officer she's referring to is Chris Dorner. Now, the way when you heard this, to me, at first I thought he was setting the story up to defend the police officer that he was talking about, but he really was bringing around a whole point and tying it into what's going on right now. So he tells a story about Chris Dorner. Chris Dorner is this black police officer, or ex-police officer, that worked with the LAPD. Him and his partner, who was a white lady, went to, I don't know what the word is, exercise or call. I mean, they had a warrant, right? They had a warrant, and he saw that she was doing some excessive things to the person that they went to. And so he reported it to his bosses, and he was the one who ended up getting terminated. So he went through every legal avenue that he could to get his job back, and he didn't. So he wrote a manifesto, and he said that he is going to wreak havoc on the members of the LAPD, and he ended up shooting 2 police officers that were in their squad cars. He went to another police officer's home and shot and killed their daughter. And so when they finally found him, he was in Bear Creek, somewhere he was like isolated. But when they found him, Dave Chappelle was saying that 400 police officers showed up to answer the call. And he said the reason that they did show up to answer the call is because one of their own had been killed. So how can't they understand what's going on in the streets right now? And I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. Boom. Like, he just tied that together so perfectly. And I had people, a lot of my white friends, older, like 30s, they were hitting me. Did you see the Chappelle? Did you see the Chappelle? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I even sent it to somebody I work with that, I see saying some interesting things on Facebook. And I sent him this special. I didn't get a reply. Because the things Chappelle was saying in this, and you can't argue it. Like, how can you argue with these things he was saying? So I thought that was brilliant. I love Chappelle. I think when we look back on this time, when, all this, I hate when it's saying when all this is over, because I don't think it's ever going to be, quote unquote, over until, it is.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be something we look back on, like, as a timestamp, like Dave Chappelle, 846. That was a moment.
It's also a moment just because he was one of the few that had already done a show since the COVID thing. So I thought it was interesting how they also played in the beginning, showing everybody having to be distanced and stuff like that. It's such a weird dynamic. I mean, this year itself has just been crazy.
Speaking of markers that we use, I think when we look back on 2020, Kobe's death would be like the thing that everybody's like, after Kobe died, everything went downhill from there on. Mm-hmm. Like, it just seems like that. Kobe died directly after that. It just went down real quick.
We've been having a tough time.
Yeah,
I see people saying it, but I genuinely feel it as well. I think I've aged.
You think so?
Years within the past few months.
How so? Like,
but I also feel like March was 2 years ago. This is the slowest yet fastest.
It's been the fastest, slowest year in history. Like, I agree with you so much.
Yes.
I think a part of that is because we were forced to stay home. And so the days are longer a little bit. Like when you're at work, and this is my theory about why when you get out of high school, life seems to move at such a fast pace. It's because you're always looking forward to the weekend. Mm-hmm. Right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday seems to fly by because your head, you're looking forward to the weekend. You're not really, you're present, but you're not present.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think with us having to stay home, the days are so much longer. Like we have long days and it's like, man. But then you look at the calendar, you be like, man, it's June already.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
That's crazy. Like the oxymoron of the fastest, slowest year ever. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what this is. And a couple other things he said in the special, he talked about Don Lemon. Now, Don Lemon was on CNN, and he was calling out all the celebrities. And Chappelle was like, why are you worried? Like, who wants to hear from their favorite comedian at a time like this? Like, the streets are talking for themselves, so why would I overstep that? And I agree 100% because we look to these celebrities for answers when a lot of them, one, didn't ask for that position to be a social justice warrior, and most of them are not equipped to be.
Yeah.
So no, they come out and they say something, and then it's like, okay, why do you say that? And then that becomes something that distracts from what's going on. So
and when he said that, it kind of stuck with me just because I have fallen guilty to expecting certain people, and I like the Kardashians. Yeah. Something about just them in particular. I was like, you of all people should be at least saying something. Mm-hmm. But then when he said that, it made a lot of sense. Like, what possibly could they be doing that we already aren't doing out in the streets, like you said, protesting and trying to make a change.
And then a lot of people might not publicly say something. Like, you'll probably never, what I'm about to say. sometimes they say something publicly, but you'll probably never hear Jay-Z get on Twitter or Instagram. He don't have Instagram, but on social media and say anything. But he's doing a lot behind the scenes. So,
and it's kind of like
yeah.
Kanye. Everybody
one.
was mad Kanye wasn't doing anything,
Mhm.
and then something he didn't even put out. I don't know how it leaked or whatnot, but he had already had
Mhm.
George Floyd's daughter's college fund set up for her and everything.
Yeah,
and
already,
and
like-
so it really, I mean, it was a lesson to myself as well to quit
Yeah.
expecting, because some people just like to do things in
And
silence.
the line that Chappelle said, don't think my silence is me being in agreement with what's going on.
Well, then I would like to say something on that.
Even though he wasn't silent because he released a special. But
Well, yeah, but think about all the people who were on Twitter saying if you aren't speaking up, then you're agreeing.
Yeah.
Does that still fall for them as well?
To them, it does, I guess. Not to me.
So you think that
Even
if
though
somebody
I have,
didn't say
I have
anything,
been in that. Okay. It's different situations. Like you said, you expect the Kardashians to step up. There's a reason why you do, though. Because you're looking at it like this. Okay. The Kardashians have profited so much
Mhm.
off of Black culture that when something happens, we're like, okay, you got to say something because, you're profiting off of this, but
Made
you
the
don't want
way
to
for
speak up
you.
on it. Now, kudos to them because they have, most of them, or the family has came up. And, Kim has been very active since, I think her having her children has made her rebrand in a way.
Mhm.
Because now that she has Black kids, you see that she is working with criminal justice now, trying to get people out of jail that's been wrongly, has been in jail for even wrong crimes or been in jail way too long than they should have. I think her rebrand is great. I have no problems with Kim. And most of them, they do speak up on stuff. Now, I know you had a problem with Kendall Jenner, and I really...
I mean,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah.
We need something
Yeah.
besides a couple of reshares, especially after the Pepsi stunt. Come on, man.
I think she shut down her social media something. I guess because people were speaking about the Pepsi commercial. Here, have a Pepsi. The end of police racism is done with a drink of a Pepsi.
Which, not even trying to joke right now.
Yeah.
I have never trusted anybody who likes Pepsi products over Coke products. I had to bring it in. I'm so sorry.
I guess that goes our Pepsi sponsorship if we ever get one.
No, we're only doing Coke products that you can drink.
Oh man. Coca-Cola product. There you go.
There we go.
Chappelle, just a genius, man. I get another guy, comedian. Ray, you might know this person, but I know a lot of people my age might not know him. Is George Carlin, who was just another guy who was a comedian, but he tied in social issues in a brilliant way. And I recommend everybody go listen to George Carlin because he was doing this, way before Chappelle was. But a lot of people my age, for sure, might not know about George Carlin. But yeah.
Carlin shook up. You can't hear me, but Carlin shook up stuff well before anybody else.
Yeah.
He was the guy that shook up everything. And he was a clean comic. He was on Ed Sullivan,
Mhm.
suit and a tie.
Right.
And then he got figured out how to do things right. And then he started going really in a great direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. Another thing that has happened that is kind of alluding to people using their platform is NBA players led by Kyrie Irving. They are saying that they do not want to come back and play because they feel like that the NBA resuming its season will take away attention from the movement. And I don't necessarily think that's true because, like, if they said they didn't want to go back because of COVID, obviously there's no argument there. Like,
Yeah.
that's just common sense. But I think that the NBA coming back is going to give them a much bigger platform to speak about these things in the first
Exactly.
place. Because if you look at sports and the intersection of social issues in sports, it's been going on for a long time. You look at Tommy Smith and John Carlos. in the Olympics. I think it was 68. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But at the Olympics, when they raised their fist, during the national anthem, you look at obviously the person that everybody's talking about and the person that is synonymous with taking a knee, Colin Kaepernick. That was during a sporting event. You look at the greatest athlete of all time, Muhammad Ali, and the stances he took as an athlete. So sports and social issues have been intertwined for a long time. So I think that them having this all millions of eyes on them is a good thing. I think they can use that platform to speak further about what's going on right now. It doesn't have to be like, a thing where if they play, they just have to shut down and not talk about it anymore, obviously, because the NBA is the most progressive league out of all the sports. Back when Eric Garner died,
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, all of them wore the "I Can Breathe" shirts. So the NBA has always been progressive when it comes to social issues, for sure. The most.
Well, and we need to continue to take the opportunity, if you're in front of cameras, to find some type of way to, if anything, I agree with you. I think it's more publicity and a chance for them to say something, because it's like the infamous Kobe picture wearing the "I Can't Breathe," which is now extremely sad. But,
right.
They've always found a way to make a stand in whatever way that they needed to.
Right. So I don't see that changing. And also, like Patrick Beverly tweeted the other day, if LeBron says we're playing, we're playing. So that's the end of it. And LeBron has never, ever, ever shied away from speaking up about something, an issue. So I'm excited to see what the players are going to do, because I do believe they will ultimately play, because, like he said, LeBron say we playing, we playing.
Yeah.
That's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady says the NFL season is resuming, it's resuming. So I think, they could take that opportunity and that platform that the NBA gives them to, further spread the message. So we're going to get a little bit off of, the topic of what's going on with, the race and all that, blah, 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 to talk about B. Simone. B. Simone caught some flack for saying that she does not want to date a 9-to-5 kind of guy. She would rather date an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur type of guy would understand her lifestyle. Now, I'm going to let you go first on this, because I think we might disagree. What did you think of her comments?
I try to see all sides of it. And this is just going to be my own personal opinion on her. I always, I have friends who will say, this is the type of guy I'm looking for. I want him to have a good job. I want him to look like this. I want him to have good money, all of this stuff. Something I always tell them is, okay, but you don't think that they're not looking for the same thing? Y'all have to match the same energy.
I like that.
Is what I always say.
Yeah.
Now, for her, she walked, be Simone. She came on talking about as if she has this huge business. And I'm sorry, I do not know who she is. I really don't. You couldn't tell me. And thank God for Twitter, because that's probably the only reason why I would know about her. I guess recently she came out with a book, and it pretty much was scanned copies of pictures. The book was falling apart. Yeah.
Plagiarized.
This is what I say to her as well. If you want an entrepreneur, then come with the same energy. And right now I'm not getting that from her. But I also do believe that people with 9-to-5s, there's different types of 9-to-5s. There's somebody who's in the oil and gas industry. There's somebody who's in construction. Yeah. Those are two completely different different jobs. Yep. While oil and gas makes a lot of money, I have more respect for people in construction, because they're out there doing all the, in the heat and doing the hard work, and they're doing, and those people don't get that type of recognition. So I can understand she's wanting somebody to be on her same level, because I myself am guilty of needing somebody to match my energy and my work ethic. But I don't know. Something about it coming from her just doesn't sit right.
There's a lot of rich people who work 9-to-5s.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But,
so
Here's why I thought we might disagree. Because just if you take her statement, not really looking at the messenger, just take the message about her not wanting to date somebody who works a 9 to 5 and wanting an entrepreneur. I don't have a problem with what she says with that statement, because how can I disagree with her preference? That's what she likes. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
if
yeah.
I come to somebody and say, I like my woman to have curly hair. That's my preference. I'm not saying anything is wrong with women with straight hair. That's just not my preference.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what she's saying about the entrepreneur thing and understanding relationships. I was telling my friend I'm going to leave them unnamed for their privacy, but I was having a conversation with him the other day, and I was like, about this, and I was like, I understand what she's saying, because if you didn't have, most women wouldn't understand your lifestyle like your current girlfriend does, because they both have that same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people look at entrepreneurship and they romanticize it, but it is not that romantic. Like, you entrepreneurship is not, you know, what the glorified version that people try to make it.
Yeah.
You know, it's either you sell something tonight or you don't eat. Like, it, no in between. Like,
Yeah.
you know, 9 to 5, you have some security there. You know, it's a job. You know, you every 2 weeks, you know, you're gonna get your check. Like, there's security there. Entrepreneurship, not any security. So if you look at it from that angle, and I'm not sure if she even looked at it from that angle.
I was about to say,
You know what I mean?
I am not quite sure that that's what she was thinking
Yeah.
of.
You
The way
think
that
she was
I
thinking of the romanticized version
well,
of it.
that and the money and security and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like you said.
Mhm.
When you become an entrepreneur, it's not like you wake up one day and your business is completely booming.
Right.
I mean, that takes years and years of establishing.
Yes.
Something about just watching, you know, and she kind of said the same thing. I'm not knocking a 9 to 5, but she still in a way was.
Yeah.
Making it seem like all entrepreneurs have this money and have this lifestyle that she has, which again, I don't know what her lifestyle is. I just see her partying in Miami. So what type of entrepreneur is she? Oh,
Did you go there? But and being in a relationship with somebody who is more 9 to 5 kind of person, and the other person being more entrepreneurial can work, because that's my situation. Like, my girlfriend is a 9 to 5 person. Like, you know, that's her thing. Me, I'm the opposite. I hate working for somebody else, and you know, but it works because she is supportive.
yeah.
Like, she understands, you know, she understands my mindset. So if I need to go out somewhere, if I'm staying somewhere a long time, she's fine with it, because she knows. And I think if you care about the person you're with, at the end of the day, you're going to want them to do what they have to do for them to be happy, if respectfully.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I think it can work. I think I've seen it work myself, you know, so I mean, it's her preference, like I said. So I don't.
I mean, I guess if you
I'm not
put it that
knocking it.
way.
You know, that's her preference.
Yeah.
She's up to 3 a.m. in the morning plagiarizing books, but hey, that's her preference. All right, we're going to get off B. Simone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to come on. I know the internet is already doing it, you know, heavy on you right now, B. You know, I wish you best of luck. You know, maybe you need a 9 to 5 guy, right, to give you some structure.
Yeah, right.
Because entrepreneurship don't have a lot of structure to it.
It looks like it's not providing much structure for you as well.
Maybe, yeah.
So
maybe the 9 to 5 guy to give you structure, you know, what you need. Maybe that's where she needs to go. But
or maybe
what?
No.
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna
no,
rip
no,
the
no,
I was
that's
gonna
good.
rip the book up some more.
Go.
I mean, I just can't. I'm gonna stay quiet.
What, did she
Man,
was
the book was a mess.
She was selling funeral programs. That's what it looked like.
No,
You know how the funeral
and some
program
girl
when
was
you go to
like,
funeral?
don't get it confused. The shine in this video is just my flash. She said these are dusty pages.
And it's funny that she said, you know, all this about entrepreneurship when she literally plagiarized another entrepreneur's work.
Yeah. That's why I can't be on board with what she's saying, but it's
Yeah.
exactly what you said. It's a preference. I could go out there and make a video. No one's gonna agree with the type of people that I like.
Right. Even though it changes every.
It does. All right. You know what? But we didn't.
I'm sorry, we're not getting on you right now.
Yeah. Dang.
Anyway,
all right.
that's what we doing. But All right, moving off of B. Simone. I had some very interesting conversations with some of my friends, and it's important to say what race they are for the, you know, topic of this conversation. They're in their 30s, Caucasian. One's a lawyer. She is an entrepreneur now. She used to work for the Texans. She's in the, they both have good jobs, put it that way. Okay, so we were having a conversation, and she brought up some very thought-provoking questions to me. One is, good catch. If we are tearing down all these Confederate statues and monuments because of the history of them, should we, actually her husband asked me this, she didn't, should we get rid of the N-word from black people because it has that same horrible racist origin? Now, at first, I was kind of like, no, because I was like, in every culture, there's words that are off limits to other people. Not even culture, situations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, me calling my girlfriend a certain, word, like baby or babe,
Mm-hmm.
would be disrespectful if I call that to another woman.
Yeah.
My grandmother, we call her a name within the family. She don't like when people outside the family call her that name. You know what I mean? Because, there's no relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
Gay people call each other the F word. Somebody outside of that community call them that, it's a little different reaction. Women, you can attest to this, call each other the B word all the time.
It's endearing sometimes.
Exactly. But if I or Ray or my brother or any other man join in that conversation, it would be a problem.
It'd be on site.
So that was my rebuttal to them about the N-word. But that is an interesting point that they made, though. If we're trying to get rid of all this history that was racist and that was, horrible, and we're trying to get rid of all that, get rid of it, should that word be included? What do you think?
I mean, for me, I would say remove it, just because I don't feel that it's still necessary to tell a story of history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That could be completely removed, and still you would be able to tell the story of everything that happened.
Yeah.
It's not adding to the conversation. It's not doing anything. So for me, I would say remove it.
Remove it. But how can we even remove a word is the question.
Well, nothing would ever be 100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could, I don't know if you could technically say let's remove.
I'm just saying, how do we go about getting people to be like, just so why? Because it's so ingrained in my culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we do as black people throughout history is we turn something bad and we transform it to something good. So we get scraps from the slave masters, turn that into soul food. The N-word through Richard Pryor, and really he was the one that kind of made it poetic, the word, with the A. And we took that horrible word, probably the worst word in the dictionary, move that to a term of endearment to, with each other. And it's so ingrained in our culture. Like, I don't know if we could ever stop saying it.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I cringe a little bit. Not when we say it in front of each other, but I've been with people and they'll be using the word in front of like an older white person or even an older black person. I get kind of like, ooh, because an older generation of black people have a totally different viewpoint on that word, and they don't think it should be used.
Yeah.
Our generation, we came up in a Richard Pryor, hip hop generation where we kind of, like I said, made the word poetic. But older generations, there's even a divide between black people on that word. So I don't know if we can ever abolish it.
No.
But it is something worth taking a look at. Because you can't look at the origin of the word. You can't change it. Like, that's the origin of the word.
Yeah. So are we talking like in historical context, like in textbooks and stuff? Or are you just saying
No,
the
I'm saying
word
in
period? That's not going to be possible.
I don't think it is either.
Because even though you said in a way, changed it into a poetic manner, it's in almost every rap song.
Everyone.
So,
and there's another problem. Imagine, I don't think anybody white has an excuse to say that word, period.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But I feel like it does.
Hold on. We've been friends for a very long time. I've never heard you say that word.
And
ever.
I never will.
Ever.
And but I do I want to say I feel like that opens up the door for especially white men to feel like, because it's in a rap song, I can say it.
I was just about to say that.
And I've been around me and Stephanie were talking about this weekend. We used to be around this guy, and he was friends with a lot of black guys, but he was very white. He would say it all the time, throw it into a conversation like he was one of the guys, but none of them corrected him. But me and Stephanie would be so uncomfortable. I just remember it being in my head, like, please stop, please stop. Like, I didn't want people around us because, somebody could be at the table across from us and not realize that his friends at some point, I guess, have made it seem like he should feel comfortable saying that. You should never feel comfortable saying it.
No. Shouldn't even want to say it.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
But, to your point, though, with the rap, if you're at a concert and, trust me, I'm not saying, I'm not giving them a pass, but, you in the zone, all my, people just feel like, man, it's kind of hard to bleep it out, but it's really not. You can do it.
Yeah.
If I'm rapping in front of my grandmother and there's a cuss word, I stop.
Yeah.
I don't say I don't say the word. I just, So, but the thing is, black culture is so dominant in American culture that everybody wants to be a part of it. That word is very much a part of that culture. So people are like, why can't I use it? Or, blah, blah, blah. And so it's a lot. It's a lot.
But that's weird
it's
to
a lot
me.
Conversation.
That's weird that people can sit back and be so bothered and so anxious and so confused. Why can't I use that word? Why does it matter?
That's because there's a sense of entitlement there.
Yuck.
Somebody might even say to you,
yuck.
Some people might even say to you that they created the word, so why can't they use it?
Sir.
I'm just saying.
No, I'm sure there is, but it just disgusts me to I don't know, the original word makes me cringe. Yeah. Like if I ever hear it, in old westerns or anything like that, it disgusts me. Yeah. And so I don't know. Why would you want it for somebody to say, well, we made it, why can't I say it? Yeah. That's one thing you should probably keep to yourself. Yeah. Don't be don't be proud of that.
Here's another thought I have about abolishing that word is that people give words power. And even when it comes to removing these Confederate statues and all that, which is, necessary, I think. But, like I said, people give words power. So say, hypothetically, we find some way to abolish the N-word. Nobody can ever say you get 300 years in prison if you caught saying the word, right? Hypothetically. All that's going to happen is they're going to find a replacement for that word. A white man coming to me and calling me a boy in a certain way, in a certain tone, is equivalent to him calling me the N-word. Because the intent behind him calling me that is the same. So, if we can go around abolishing words and putting down statues, but the real work is changing the person behind the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, until you change the person, because the word is just surface level. The issue is with the person. It's racism. So how do we deal with that? Because when you deal with the racism, then the word is probably not going to come out anyway.
Exactly.
So we got to find a way to change people's heart at the end of the day. Yes, it's a beautiful gesture to get rid of these racist people that we celebrate in history. Yes, it is. But it's not going to change anything. You know what I mean? We just don't have to look at it now. But guess what? In London, they had a whole hundreds of people showing up at that Winston Churchill statue. Like, you're not about to tear that down. You know what I mean? And they had the, was chanting all kind of racist stuff.
Mhm.
Also, hey, we got to change people at the end of the day. I want to close with this, and this is so much progress, and I think the reason that police have so much power is because we put them in front of things that they necessarily don't need to be in front of. Homelessness, problems at school with children, in these neighborhoods where, housing is horrible and all this. We give them too much power because we put them in all these situations that they're not necessarily needed. San Francisco passed the law, and I'm gonna read it to y'all because this is huge. San Francisco. This is from the Los Angeles Times. San Francisco police officers will be replaced with trained, unarmed professionals to respond to calls for help on non-criminal matters involving mental health, the homeless, school discipline, and neighbor disputes as part of a new wave of police reforms. I think that is huge because there are actually countries to where their police officers don't carry guns because they're trained so well on how to de-escalate a situation that they almost never have problems because they're trained so well. So for them to do that, I think that's like a huge step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
No, I agree. I think that it's kind of like they assume cops are a jack of all trades,
Mhm.
but there are certain people who go to school and have a passion for helping kids who are in domestic situations or, I am guilty. I have called the cops before because for wellness check,
Mhm.
I was under the impression somebody was going to commit suicide and I called the police.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not passionate about, you always see these videos of people trying to pull people off the ledge, stuff like that. If you're not passionate about it, you're like, yeah, we'll drive by, I guess. And that's essentially kind of the response I got.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I need you to go in and sit with him, have dinner. Talk to him, because if anything, if a cop shows up, he's probably going to be frustrated at first. And that's when you bring in a psychologist or a therapist or something like that to kind of, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just think we have to start viewing them as a jack of all trades and find people who are catered specifically to that issue.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Shout out to San Francisco for that. Hopefully there will be more states and cities to follow that because I think it is so necessary. And people, that's what we mean by defunding the police. People think, we want to get rid of the police, completely, just wipe out police, period. Like, no, like in situations to where they're not needed as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we mean. Like we've given them too much power, and then there comes the abuse of power. A cosmetologist. They have to be trained longer than the officer does for their craft.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
And you're going out into, trust me, I sympathize with police officers. It is a dangerous job, but you knew that going into it. And they need to be trained better. Period. Mm-hmm. You cannot go a couple of weeks of training and you think you can handle the plethora of things that's going on in the community.
No way.
You know what I mean?
Way.
So, it's so many problems. You get, bonuses for more. It's just a lot. We can spend a whole podcast on that. A lot of things that's wrong with the criminal justice system and that. But like I said, shout out to San Francisco for taking that step forward, and hopefully we have more cities and states that follow. So yeah, this is our first podcast, just us two.
I know.
Except when I interviewed you. Other than that, before you. But I think we did really good.
Yeah, I think so.
Tell us what y'all think. Leave a comment, subscribe, all that. No pun intended. And that's it for episode 49. Peace.